Singh, and I'm the CEO of Helping People Succeed. We specialize in giving training courses, motivational self-improvement, and we focus in all areas of life: physical, mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual, financial, and everything else.
Wow, that's quite a lot.
So I travel quite a bit around the world, and I just came back also recently, and sometimes I lose my voice just because of that. So today I'm very sorry, I may not sound the best on mic. So having done that for many years all this while, I've also been attached to different companies, small and big, where we help people develop the potential among their colleagues, among their employees, and bring them to the best. And that's how indirectly I got involved in elections here, because Mr. Desmond Lim, who is our chairman of the Singapore Democratic Alliance, he once saw me on stage at Singapore Expo, if I'm not mistaken, and there were like 6,000 people sitting there. I'm not sure who he was at that time, but somehow he has this eye for talent, I guess, and then he followed up from there, because he saw me speaking to those people, and he thought that maybe if I could speak to 6,000 people on stage and inspire them, maybe there was some role I could play in helping make Singapore a better place for all.
So, is that the reason why you decided to run?
Actually, that is one of the indirect reasons, because from young I've always been involved in community service, whether it was on my own small scale in the temples and upbringing where I was in Sikh, or also in NTU. I was the president of the Students' Union, and I mean, it was a very challenging thing, because when I became the president, I was just in the second year, and usually people in the third year and fourth year, then they, you know what I mean? And the year before, I was just in one of the subcommittees of my school, the computer engineering school. I wasn't even in the union that time, but to have gone up those, and the support that I got was overwhelming. And then even when I became the president, there were still two of them, especially one of them who was my vice president. He was still trying to be the president because he was much more senior.
So you're used to politics already.
Yeah, it was like, no, but it was challenging, because for me, I was younger, so I also was giving him due respect with his experience and all. But at the end, no, the committee decided that, no, Palji, we want you to continue being the president. And so it was challenging times here from the start, but we did a lot of big things in NTU, including the inter-ASEAN national debates that we started around the world, which never existed at that point, and also tried to raise $1 million for the fund of the Students' Council and all that. So I have been involved in all these areas for many years, both in school, both outside school, both on community level, and both even in professional basis. So it has always been my passion in helping people succeed.
Okay, so it's your desire to help that makes you want to run. So how would this experience help you should you be elected?
Well, I think I realized this 5 years ago when Mr. Desmond Lim once again told me, and we had a 6-hour talk at the beach, I remember, East Coast. He was telling me all the different angles that Singaporeans need to be helped with, and how I can contribute in one way or another. And I remember when I went for those elections at that time, I was a little bit apprehensive in 2011, because it was something very new, but he coached me, and most importantly, I can say a lot of Singaporeans from the ground up were coming up to us and saying, look, we face this problem, that problem, and when you put them all together, you realize on the surface we may have reached from third world to first world as a nation, but the common man on the street is still having is still having a lot of issues.
So what's the biggest complaint then?
Okay, the first one, I think the biggest one is this difference in that, it's called the Gini coefficient, the rich getting richer, the income, that's okay, good. I'm glad you're aware of those things. Now, when you look at it, the rich are getting so much richer, and the poorer are getting even worse off. Now, what happens in the middle class? That's the big range. Forget about the real poor ones, they are already complaining a lot, but even in the middle class, those people are having day-to-day, you can say, problems meeting the ends and trying to reach a comfortable lifestyle for themselves and for their children, and for the future of Singapore. Now, I tell you something very honestly, as a community on the whole, everyone says, I mean, I'm working on some projects overseas, I just came back yesterday from there, and everybody says, Singapore, oh, you're so lucky, you're this, you're the, I mean, they know it's the cleanest, the greenest, and also now the most expensive city. But you see, the outsiders don't get the inside feel of what the daily routine and what the common man is going through every day. So financially, that's one thing. Number two, healthcare today is becoming an issue. Why? Because, can I just say something? The rising cost relates to even expenses in terms of a person's health. Now, they say health is wealth anyway. Now, with our aging population, as we grow older, chances are even myself, I speak for it. Last 1 week I've been so sick, which I've never faced in the last 40 over years of my life. And I realize, yes, not just me, but as an aging population, our needs for medical care are going to go up. But if the cost is going up and up and up, as the days go by, Singaporeans not going to have enough left for their retirement. Why? Because most of the money was already used in housing. Now that's another issue. I'm just touching on the core points, but if you'll notice, it's the whole spectrum of a person's life that is being affected. So they used most of their money for housing to pay for it, and what's left with CPF. And ask about yourself. When I was younger, they said 55, retire, then 58, then 60, 62, 65. And some people are saying, no, mate, just carry on working until you can, as long as you can. Don't even think about retiring. Because that mass of money, the CPF fund, now that's another issue. So if you ask me, it's a lot of issues. That money was for our, you can say, as we grow old, but no, mate, it's being used up in everything else.
We have heard a lot of these complaints already.
That's right.
But like, I think most people want to know, like, what are the solutions to it? How do we handle this problem as well?
Very good. Now, SDA has been an alliance. I think you also know it's not just one party, but a lot of different parties coming together, working together for the common goal. And the other thing beautiful about SDA is that we always listen to the feedback from a lot of people. We have been formulating some of the policies. I'm not supposed to maybe reveal today the manifesto, but in the manifesto, let me just put it this way, maybe we'll have another interview once my board clears it. But there are 7 main areas that we are going to focus on, and each of the area has got a sub-point of at least 3 to 5 action steps. So whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, whether it's CPF, whether it's the whatever the area that we want to focus on, each including transportation, by the way, because that's one more big one. Each one of them, we have actually got 3 to 5 major action steps. If I started listing them down, it will be a full half an hour. Yes. So I'll let you know this much. SDA has already focused on it. We already have our reports going on. We have gone through 3 phases of revision on our manifesto, and it will be revealed in the next few days to come, and I'm very sure I will list for you the concrete 13, or you can say actually there are more than 13 steps altogether, but those are the minimum steps that are action oriented, because SDA doesn't just believe in giving you the problems. Everybody now seems to know the problems. What are the solutions? What is going to change? And that's why we need to be the voice of the people and be in Parliament, not just during this period, but for the next 5 years and many more years to come, so we can make these effective changes. Otherwise, no, Singaporeans' lives are not going to change. They have been like that for so long. We cannot allow this slip to keep going on. So these elections, I think, are a very important, crucial thing. Why? Because 2 things. Mr. Lee has passed on. His pioneer team, 16 of them, if I'm not mistaken, are leaving the cabinet. Now, with that big group, I can say 100 over years of political experience, knowledge, know-how is going out. So what is so good about the new 16 people that are replacing them? For that matter, our opposition leaders, party leaders from every party, I think, are much more well prepared than the new 16 that are coming on the other side. Because at least for the last 5 years, if not for 10, 15 years, every opposition leader has been understanding the ground, walking the ground, writing policies, trying to come up with different alternatives and solutions. And there, I believe Singaporeans now need to see that those 16 who have stepped down from the ruling party, yes, they served us well. We thank them for the past 50 years for bringing Singapore to this level. But the new 16 ones who are coming in are in no way matched even halfway to the capabilities of the opposition leaders that are coming in. Now, that is the message we need to get across, that look, Singapore is loved by all. None of the opposition leaders want a worse off situation. We only want it to get better. I think SD is an all-encompassing party and an alliance. We will serve every person who is in Singapore, basically whether they are citizens or they're just visiting us for some time here and there. But the distinction we really want to make is the difference from true blue Singaporeans, who were actually people who came up, went to NS, served all the way, grew up with the values and culture of local Singaporeans, versus some people who are here only for certain years, opportunists in some way to make their lives better, make themselves have a step towards another part of the world, because they don't have long-term plans to stay on in this country. So we want to draw that distinction and say, look, Singaporeans who are true blue Singaporeans should be protected both through constitution and in every other mean, to be given priority in every other way beyond the needs of everyone else. We respect everybody. We take care of everyone who comes to Singapore. That's all inclusive, all encompassing. But no, where the true blue Singaporeans are concerned, there are already things in our manifesto which we have written that we want them to be given priority on. We want them to be basically put on a pedestal a little higher and above everybody else. That's where the distinction lies.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of debate and discussion going on about the definition of true blue Singaporeans, because as you realize, some people say that we came from immigrants as well. So how would SDA define what is true blue Singaporeans?
Oh, that's a beautiful question, because I'm also one of those. I was 8 years old when I came to Singapore, to be very frank. And so you are right. This question has actually been fired at me. That Palji, how can you say that when you also were born in another country? I was 8. The difference, I think, is the moment I was 8. Yes, as a little boy, I had a little cultural background from where I came from in India. I'm proud of my roots. I'm very happy with those things. But the moment a child comes at the age of 8 years old, the rest of his upbringing, like in my case, my schooling, then I went to college here in Singapore, then I went to national service here, then I went to the universities and all that, and the rest of my life I've been working here. Until more recently, fine, my work makes me travel quite a bit. So that gives me a global perspective. But watch this, a person from the 8 years of age that has got good opportunity and a chance to be what's the word? Emulated? No, emulated is the wrong word.
Absorb the culture.
To absorb the culture, to actually learn the ways of life down here. Now, maybe that's the distinction. Number 2, NS really made me a man, I'll be very frank. Living in the community of totally, I was the only Sikh in the whole entire camp. So, everyone made fun of me, whatever not. But at the end of the day, no, that also made me, gave me the ability to live with people who are real Singaporeans. And then the campaigns that were held, whether it was Keep Green, courtesy campaigns, and so many things. Those took so many years to brainwash me into becoming what I can call a Singaporean. Now, on the other side, a new person who comes in, who is already a graduate, who is already working, his mindset has already been made to order in the previous country. When they come here now, they have no opportunity to even allow themselves to become a little bit more Singaporean. So I think there is no hard and fast line what makes a true blue Singaporean. But I think if you never had all this upbringing, no, you can't actually relate to the life and the way of a Singaporean, which is supposed to be. And that to us, I think, is a line that we can look for.
Okay, so my second last question. There's been a lot of talk going on right now about the elitism in our society. For example, the most recent one written by the RI principal and the letter to Straits Times. So we'd like to just ask your comments on it.
My simple comments are, democracy has always been the rule of the people, by the people, for the people. It has never been the idea of only a certain ruling class or upper class of people come and have the ability to rule the rest of us. And I think that's the approach taken by SDA, that we actually represent the common man on the street. We ourselves are common people on the streets. There's none of us who is going to come back and then just say, oh, I belong to something higher than you, or none of us are scholars of one sort or the other. Although we are intelligent in every way, and I think we can be on par with any scholar for that matter. But SDA's approach has always been to be the voice of the common person, the common Singaporean, because that is the people who are actually suffering the most, not the ones who are the elites. The elites, they can always take care of themselves in every way. They will always be taken care by other elites too. But yes, what Singaporeans need is a voice for the common man. And I think that's what the emphasis all has to be, that power has to be returned to Singaporeans, because Singapore is part of Singaporeans. It was for Singaporeans, and I believe forever we will only excel if we concentrate and focus on the common man too.
Okay, so final question. Why should people support SDA?
I think SDA is in a very unique situation right now. We have 3 things that are going for us very well. Number 1, we have always been an alliance, the Singapore Democratic Alliance. An alliance is coming together of different minds, even different parties, different people coming together to focus on a common goal. So I know at the end of the day, we may not as an individual party be ready to run the Singapore country because we don't have enough members on our side. But as an alliance, we are willing to, and we are open to, and we invite every other party to come together as a coalition to work together for the betterment of this country. Number 2, the second very unique thing that's going on with SDA is our chairman has had years of experience in terms of running town councils and also making sure that the needs of the simple common citizens are met. Now this is very important. Why is it so important? Because at the end of the day, part of our duty, of course, is to come up with policies, fight for policies, have debates in parliament. But on the other side, town council is also one of our major responsibilities. So SDA today is in a very unique situation that we have someone who has had years of experience, and we can tap on his experience to make sure that our home base is always taken care of. And number 2, not just us, but we are always ready to help others too. And the third reason, I think SDA is in a very right time and right place at the right time kind of thing, because Singaporeans as a whole are ready for a change. Change can be difficult at the start. Change along the way can also have its ups and downs, but at the end of the day, the rewards that are waiting for us at the end of the rainbow that change can bring is something I think Singaporeans are waking up to in general. And your media channels that you represent, and many other channels, the online channels, and a lot of other new opportunities to bring people together, to bring ideas together, and most importantly, the desire that Singaporeans already have right now, and the support they're willing to give to SDA, I think is one of the other third very strong cornerstone why it's the right time for us to win this election and go on to serve Singaporeans for many more years to come.